Okay. It's now recording. Thank you all for joining us today. And let me first introduce myself. It's okay. Come on. My name is Lina Khattab. I'm a PhD student at the Youth Management School, and I'm the event organizer. And I'll be leading the second session of this event, which is the interactive quiz. And as for the first session, please welcome Fatima from Waterwise. Fatima has a PhD in water efficiency engagement and has over 10 years experience in the water efficiency engagement. She will be giving a very interesting talk. So Fatima would like to welcome you and thank you so much for your time. You know, you're very busy, so thank you for finding the time to be with us here today.
Thank you, Lina. You're welcome.
I'll put your, no, so this is my presentation. I'll share my screen so you can all see Fatima's presentation. Can everyone online and in person see the presentation? Okay. Fatima, the floor is yours.
Thanks a lot, Lina. Good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Fatima Ajia, and I'm Waterwise's Campaigns and Social Research Manager. It's great to be here with you this morning to bring water efficiency to the forefront for as we begin this incredible week, really, where we spotlight water and continue to prioritize our planet. So this morning, I'll talk to you about water efficiency, particularly in the context of water scarcity as an issue that we are facing in the UK and our roles as citizens, particularly young citizens, in tackling the problem. So I'll put water availability and use into context for you, and I'll highlight why water efficiency is an absolute necessity for us in the UK. And then we'll look at the atomic micro actions that we can take to be able to conserve water, whether you live in a student accommodation or private accommodation. But firstly, I think I should tell you a little bit about Waterwise. If we go to the next slide, Lina. Thank you, Lina. So Waterwise was founded in 2005. We are a not-for-profit NGO, and we are the leading authority on water efficiency in the UK. We are supported by a range of stakeholders, including regulators, water companies, water retailers, and business affiliates. And in turn, we also challenge and support our supporters, but also customers like yourselves, people who use water. We support and challenge you to enhance water efficiency within the capacities that you have control over. So for yourself, it would be within how you use water, why you use water, and when you use water. So as a starting point, I think it is useful to explore how much water is actually available to us on a global landscape, and on a household level in the UK, how much water we do use. And I think this would be useful because it would help you think about how our actions, which we take when we use water or when we try to save water, how these fit into the bigger picture. So let's move to the next slide, Lina. Thank you. So the Earth as we know it is the blue planet because it, the surface is covered by mostly water. But how many of us know how much of this water is available for us to use? The truth is, and the answer is not very much. 97% of the water covering the Earth's surface is actually salt water. 2% are trapped in the ice caps. And then it's just this 1%, which is fresh water, which we can use for our agricultural purpose, our domestic household purpose, our industrial use. And then so you begin to think we don't have very much water to use. What do we then do? I'm going to ask again about how many people here today know how much water you use on a daily basis. So as a citizen or resident of the UK, do you know how much water you use? When surveyed, people would say they use about 20 litres of water a day. But in fact, an average person in the UK uses 143 litres of water per day. And as you can see in the graph on the right-hand side, decades ago, people used about, on the average, 85 litres of water per day. So we are almost doubling usage today. So I'm going to prompt everyone here today to think about whether you use up to 143 litres of water or you use more than that, and start to piece together how you use water. So essentially, what do you use water for and in what way? You may now be wondering, well, why should I bother? It seems to rain in the UK all the time and we can desalinate seawater. Well, the truth is that unlike some other countries like Israel, where desalination of water is done on a large scale, the UK has just one desalination plant, which is in London. And moreover, desalination is quite, capital intensive. It is energy intensive as well. So it is not a viable alternative for us to rely on solely. So then this leads me to talking to you about the key reasons why we should then start to look about saving water. And we do have 6 of them, which I will touch on today. Thank you, Lina. So first, as many of you may already know, our population is growing and at a rapid rate as well. So areas are set to become much more densely populated than they currently are. In fact, it is predicted that 68% of the population will reside in urban areas by 2050. And so one implication of population growth, amongst other things, is that water becomes much required for domestic agriculture and industrial use. So, as we saw in the graph in the previous slide, we now see that people are now using water very differently than they did years ago. We can now see that we use water in much more diverse ways. So we see household recreation and even water in food production and production of fabrics for fashion. Another reason that it is important that we start to think about saving water is that our water use directly affects our local environment. So the water that we use doesn't just come from far away, it comes from our local rivers. And this is causing low levels in our rivers. Particularly, this is now common in the UK. According to the Rivers Trust, only 14% of England's rivers are in good ecological health. So that's not great. And that calls for action. So if no action is taken, we have extreme weather and we have increased water use, which will then mean that our river levels even reduce further down. And I must highlight that our chalk streams, which is the pride of England, will also be negatively impacted. I should let you know that 85% of the chalk streams in the world are actually located in England. And these habitats have been described as England's equivalent of rainforests, as they are home to wildlife, like you see with the otters, the salmon. So this is a food for thought for all of you today. If we reduce our water, studies have shown, if we reduce our daily water use from 143 litres of water per day to 100 litres of water per day, we'll increase our river levels, our river flows by 1/3 across the whole of the UK at the driest times of the year. And this would also mean that we are protecting our rivers, we're protecting our chalk streams, and we are leaving water in the chalk streams where it is needed the most for wildlife. Now, the third reason and the fourth reasons why we should save water are quite related. We know that drier weather and extreme higher temperatures will affect our water supplies now and in the future. So saving water can help us to adapt to climate change. And we see more than ever before that we are having erratic weather patterns, we are having longer, we're having erratic weather patterns. So our tropical days are maybe much more longer. Our wetter days are also shorter. The United Nations actually warns us or highlights that water is the primary medium through which climate change will be felt. So essentially, we would see this, and we are seeing that now, a disturbance of the water cycle in the form of frequent and extreme floods and droughts. And you would know, because of the part of the country that you're in Yorkshire, flooding and droughts are both risk to the UK in general. And we've seen in recent years, even at your doorstep in York, we've seen floods during 2007 and in 2012 as well. And I myself have had the opportunity to engage briefly with residents of Bilton and Durham a few years ago, and just the human stories that they tell you about the impacts of flooding on people's lives and communities, it's very devastating. And then this, brings to the forefront the reason why we all have a role to play to reduce our water use. The fifth reason why we need to reduce our water use is because it can help us to save money. So that is very beneficial to everyone, whether you live in private accommodation or you live in student accommodation on campus. So if you had a water meter, for example, and you lived in private accommodation, it means that you could be paying for exactly what you use. And these studies have shown paying for what you use and being aware of that can motivate you to become much more water efficient. However, if you don't have a water meter, you can also still save money on your energy bill by reducing your use of hot water in the house. So we know that 20% of your household heating bill is actually on heating water around the house. So this is the second highest energy user in the home. And if you live in the university accommodation as well, reducing water can save your university a whole lot of money. And you can do that really for a wider cause beyond your university, because 1.5 billion households in the UK suffer from water poverty. So this means that they spend more than 5% of their household income on water bills after the housing cost. So it is important that you think carefully when you use water and do not take it for granted. Do not think that water is, available as readily available in the UK. So whether you pay for it directly or you don't, please do be very conscious when you use water. Now, the sixth reason why you should save water is that water efficiency is a shared responsibility. It's not the sole responsibility of the government or the regulators or the water companies. It is also your responsibility as a citizen or a resident. And some of you may have heard about embedded water, which is where you as a global citizen come into play. It is the cost, the water cost of goods and materials that we use on a daily basis. And this water is embedded because it is usually hidden. It is hidden in the production of these goods and materials. And they are often taken for granted because they are not apparent. They are not highlighted by the manufacturers or anywhere else. And they are often maybe produced far away in other countries, and one can have a tendency to detach from that production process. But it's important as global citizens to always remember that these material goods are produced sometimes in countries that may not necessarily even have enough water to meet their own demand. And actually, they may be produced under conditions that are not particularly ethical for the local people and their local environment. So on the right hand of your screen, you see this illustration really. You see that just to produce a pair of jeans and a t-shirt, we need 20,000 liters of water. Just to produce a kilogram of beef, of meat, you need over 15,000 liters of water. And on the other hand, just to produce a kilogram of vegetables, you need about 322 liters of water. So I'll leave you to do the math, and you quickly realize that our lifestyle choices, our habits, they do affect the water system, not just your local water system, but the global water system. And you have a responsibility to reduce your water use in order to secure these water systems, whether it's local or global. And I'll be highlighting how we can do that on an individual level. But I'll first touch on the water meter because I think some of us may need some more clarity on what the water meter is and how it can aid water efficiency. So Lina, if we move to the next slide, please. Thank you. So unlike conventional water meters, from which you or your water company might be taking manual readings periodically, smart water meters have the capability to generate automatic usage readings, so generate the liters of water that you're using in real time. And so this means that you have a much more accurate water bill, but the in-home display functionality as well means that you can see your usage and how much you're spending on using water in real time, right in your face. And like I said earlier, studies have shown that when people are able to see their spend and usage, they become much more motivated to use less water. And also, studies have shown that people who are on a water meter use 129 liters of water per day on average. So you see that this is really less than the average person's water use in the UK. But people who are not on a water meter, guess how much they use? On average, they use 172 liters of water per day. So clearly, you see that the water meter does much more than just generating accurate bills. It also is very instrumental to water efficiency on an individual level. And I should just say that with the water meter, you have a right to request for a water meter, and it will be installed for you free of charge unless it is impractical or unreasonable to do so. Anyway, in terms of water meters, they do make it easier for you to measure and manage your water use, but also we do have a leakage problem in the UK water sector. 22% of the water that is put into the network just gets wasted through leakage. So the water meter helps us with identifying spikes in levels of water use or erratic patterns, and they help us with being able to identify leakage and addressing them much more quickly. So now that we know why water efficiency is a necessity for our local environment, for the climate, because population is growing, because it is just a civic responsibility, it is something for you to do for the collective on a local and global scale. Let's now talk about how we can save water. What are the actions that we can take? Thank you, Lina. So I should say first, there are 3 key routes to water efficiency. You can change your behaviors to improve them in a way that you become much more water efficient. You can also rely on devices and infrastructure to help you enhance your water efficiency, or you can collect rainwater and reuse it, particularly for outdoor purposes or for your indoor plants. But I'm going to focus more on the behavior change and how you can complement this with your using your devices correctly, whether it's in your student accommodation or in your private accommodation. So behaviors play a huge part in how much water we use. And I will tell you this because recently with the COVID-19 pandemic, we saw a huge spike in water use in the sector. And this was because of how our behaviors changed around wash your hands, for a longer period. Well, people started to stay home much more, which means that people were cleaning more, gardening more, having recreational use of water in their gardens, say paddling pools, for example. So if we are going to have enough water to go around in the future, we would need to look much more closely at how we use water. But in order to be able to look closely in how you use water, it is important that you begin to understand the factors that drive you to use water the way you use water, and that could help you reflect better. And so these factors basically, as we know them, are individual, they are internal and external factors on an individual level. So the internal factors are basically your psychosocial drivers. That could be your lifestyle needs, your values, and your habits. Let's take showering, for example. When you set out to have a shower, you don't just say, oh, I'm just going to go and waste some water. But actually, you might say or think, I'm just going to go have a shower because I want to get clean after having an exercise session. So that is a lifestyle need. Think about what makes you need to use water the way you use water. But also there are societal norms around cleanliness that can then influence how we understand or perceive personal hygiene, which then influences how we use water. But our behaviors and our habits, when done on a routine and regular basis, they shape how we use water. For example, take showering again as an example. When you shower for 10 minutes, if that's the kind of person you are every morning and night, because you needed to wake you up and you needed to wind down before going to bed, you don't just say, oh, I love to waste water every morning and night, but actually you might say, I needed to wake up, I need to have a long shower as well to wind down because I do have long days. And that is what you call a habit. So the call to action today is for you to examine your psychosocial factors, your psychosocial drivers, and reflect on how they are driving you to use water, and ask yourself, what can I do about them? And behavior change, I should say, draws not just on those psychosocial drivers, it draws on those external drivers and how that shapes how we use water. So we talked earlier about the water meter, which can help you in motivating you to use less water, but there are also our water systems and our material goods. And this is where the devices come in. So I should point out that studies have shown that you cannot effectively rely on devices to save water. They need to be complemented with your behavioral change. So I'll touch on showers and baths because they are by far the biggest consumers of water in our homes. If you live in a private accommodation, you might have a bath. An average bath uses 80 liters of water per day. And so we would encourage you to reduce the frequency of having baths. But if you live in any sort of accommodation, you definitely would be having a shower from time to time. The average shower is 8 minutes long. And we are going to recommend you to optimize that by reducing it to no longer than 4 minutes. You can support yourself to do this by using a shower timer to keep you on track with how long you spend in the shower. Some people find it helpful to shower to a playlist. There are tracks on Spotify, and Waterwise has a Waterwise playlist on Spotify with songs that are just about 4 minutes long, and that can help you with staying on track to get out of the shower within 4 minutes. So do have a look. Also in your toilets and in your kitchens, you do have taps. Make sure that when you turn your tap on, you use it efficiently. So a water efficient tap uses about 6 liters of water per minute. So when you're brushing your teeth, washing your face, or you're shaving, make sure that you only turn your tap on when you want to wet and you want to rinse. Otherwise, you keep your tap off. If you even want to go an extra mile in being water efficient, you might want to look at using a brushing cup when you're brushing rather than using your tap. If you use a small brushing cup, it's about 340 milliliters of water. But also when you're doing your washing of your face or your dishes, you can just pop your sink stopper down the drain and collect your water in the sink up to a minimum level and then do your washing that way. That prevents you, deters you from doing your washing under a running tap. But if you live in a building that's been built in the recent decades, then you're much more likely to have a toilet that has a dual flush button. So a door flush button, you see like a big button and a small button, and they're there for a purpose, for you to help you to be water efficient. The door flush button uses typically 4 to 6 liters of water, as opposed to the old toilet flushing with a handle, which uses a massive 13 liters of water per flush. So just knowing your buttons correctly and how to use them correctly can help you with saving water automatically. The big button you use for solid waste, and then the small button you use for liquid waste. But also, you don't always have to flush, especially when it is liquid waste. You can practice if it's yellow, let it mellow. If it's brown, flush it down to save water. And as mentioned earlier, leakage is a challenge in the water sector. So I encourage you to look in your personal space, whether you're in private or student accommodation, look at how you can spot your leakages and do that regularly, because if you have a leakage, you could be wasting up to 400 liters of water a day. And if you do spot any leakage, report it to your facilities manager or your water company straight away. Another topic that is very important that I have to highlight for you, because it's very important for young people, is doing your laundry, particularly in relation to fast fashion, which I talked about earlier on. Try to invest in slow fashion, which means you buy much more quality fabrics and you don't have to dispose them as often as you would with fast fashion, but also you can get more wears out of them. And really, you don't have to wash them as often. So you make sure you get more wears out of your fabric before you put them to wash, but also make sure that you're using your washing machine on a full load. Make sure you power your laundry, and then when it's full, enough for your washing machine to be full, you then do your wash. And make sure you're using your eco settings on your washing machine correctly. And that applies for if you have a dishwasher as well. Make sure that you're using a full load, make sure you're using the settings correctly, and make sure that you're not using running water to scrape dry food off your plates. Make sure that you use like a scraper after eating to scrape foods off your plate, but also washing your dishes can, after eating immediately, can mean that your foods don't get dry, and then you need to use water to soften and scrape them off. But what would then mean is if you're hand washing your dishes, use the sink stopper, which I mentioned earlier on, fill your basin or sink to a minimum level, and then do your washing that way. But also when you run your tap indoors, or when it rains, you can collect your water. So when you run your tap, there's this cold water. You might be needing warm water, but there's this cold water, which I like to call the preceding cold water, that flows first. You can collect it in kettles or in buckets and keep them for watering your indoor plants and your outdoor plants, if that is your living situation. But you can also collect rainwater, which you can use to water your indoor and outdoor plants if possible. Right, so we're going to move to the next slide, Lina, where we talk about the strategies. I've told you about these atomic microactions that you can take to save water, but there are also just behavior change models that are out there that help us to understand how we behave and make decisions. But because we are limited on time, I'll touch on this EAST model because it is a very useful strategy that you can apply in your everyday life to save water. It can help you on your personal journey towards water efficiency. And the key idea behind this behavior, this EAST model, which is a behavior change model, is that if you want to adopt a certain behavior, you should make it easy and attractive and social and timely. And then your journey towards that outcome becomes much more smoother. And so these are the key principles that I would encourage you to apply when reducing your water use. So for example, in terms of if you wanted to reduce your showering time, for example, set a goal that is attainable. If you shower for 15 minutes, you might want to say, I'm going to try to go down to 10, then go down to 8, then go down to 7, and then go down to 4, right? So set goals that are attainable so you don't become overwhelmed by it or you abandon it. But also, what you can do is use technology to make it exciting. Use the shower playlist that I talked about. Use the shower timer, which is very visual. It's a visual reminder to get out of the shower within a certain period of time. And also make it social. We are quite young human beings, are social animals. It is much more easier when we socialize our journey towards water efficiency. So share what you're doing with your friends and family members, and then telling them about the efforts you're making to reduce your water use. It helps to keep you accountable, and also it helps this collective thing that we talk about, this collective responsibility. It helps you to carry other people along. So it's not just yourself making those changes. And then last but not the least, new habits that you develop, make sure that you develop them consciously within a certain time frame, and then you build on them. So you consciously go from 15 minutes, for example, to 10 minutes, and then you build on them. You build on them rapidly. Okay, so we're going to move to the next slide, where I just summarize really. Thank you, Lina. So in summary, we have talked about the importance of water efficiency. So we know that there's a water scarcity issue facing the UK, but we also know that it's important to use water wisely, because the demand for water has almost doubled than it was decades ago. But also we are faced with this challenge of climate change. But what we should also remind ourselves is we're not just doing this for no reason. As well as protecting our natural environment from the impacts of overly abstracting water to meet our needs. So meaning that our local rivers are declining. Saving water means that we reduce carbon emissions, we save more money, and we save energy. And there are two main ways that we can save water, which I mentioned earlier, which is improving our behaviors around water use, and also using our devices correctly to complement our behavior change. And this you can achieve by optimizing the way you shower, the way you bath, the way you brush your teeth, the way you flush your toilets, the way you wash your hands, wash your face, the way you do your laundry, the way you do your dishes. So it's always in those little personal moments in your private space, actually, that you can make those changes. And I'll just say lastly, if you're feeling inspired today by all this information, why don't you take the Waterwise Pledge 2022 challenge? We do have a challenge. The challenge really is to raise awareness of the importance of saving water. And we give you daily support and nudges to make you make those small changes that I've highlighted, or even we give you more prompts for saving water. We challenge you to save 2,022 liters of water in a month within 28 days by completing the challenges that we email to you on a daily basis. Last year, 1,000 people participated in our 2021 pledge campaign, and collectively we saved approximately 2.2 million liters of water. So isn't that amazing what 1,000 people can do together? So we would love for you to join us, and you can join us at any point in the year, but we would love for you to, in the spirit of the One Planet Week, join us in saving water in the pledge campaign. But also, we're having an annual conference, a Waterwise annual conference, which is coming up next month in March. It is the UK's leading conference on water efficiency, and it's open to the public, academics, it's open to everyone, every citizen and resident of the UK. And we're offering free tickets to students in particular. So we would love for you to join us in moving the water efficiency conversation forward. So if you want to, you can head to our website, the link shown on the screen, on the slides, sign up for our challenge, the pledge challenge that I mentioned just now. And you could also register for the upcoming conference. And I think Lina and Joe would be working behind the scenes to help you get your free tickets if you do want to attend. But thank you for listening this morning. I do hope that you have found some motivation and inspiration here to take any action, no matter how little, to be water efficient, but also to involve your friends and your families in your journey towards water efficiency. And I do hope you enjoy your One Planet Week. And we would be hoping that this is not just a 1 week focus on the planet, but it's just, it's a continuous journey in prioritizing our planet. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Fatima, for a very informative and insightful presentation. And I do recommend everyone signing the pledge. I signed it myself, and it's very exciting. They will send you really interesting challenges, daily challenges for you to do. I'll have a QR code you can scan to take you directly to the website afterwards. And Waterwise and Dr. Fatima has kindly offered free tickets for all the event attendants for the conference. So if you haven't signed up for one of the tickets during registration, just let me know and I'll take your email and a ticket will be sent to you. Thank you, Dr. Fatima, again.
Thank you, Lina.
So much.
Thank you, Lina.
Thank you. Okay. And now for the second session of this event, which is the interactive quiz. Are you ready for the quiz? Okay. Just let me share on the screen. So just to follow up on what Dr. Fatima has mentioned, here's the pledge, Waterwise pledge. And here's the QR code, which you can scan now if you want, scan later. I'll have this slide available again at the end of the presentation. And when you sign up, if you can, please use your York account. So it will be easier this way. And here's the conference that Dr. Fatima mentioned, and you'll be getting free tickets to attend. Here are the sessions, the different topics that will be covered. You can have a picture of this again if you want to help you decide in advance which session you are interested in attending. There are lots of different topics that you might find it interesting. It's on 4 days, so if you're available on any of these days, just make sure you attend the sessions. And for the second part of the event, it's going to be a quiz. So the quiz is going to be 3 rounds, 3-4 questions each. And the top 5 winners at the end of the quiz will get a prize. And the prize is the succulent plants, as you can see here. Why succulent plants? Because they use the minimum amount of water to survive. So we thought this might inspire you to also use just as much as you need. So if you have your mobile phones, just go to slido.com or use this QR code. And online participants online can still join us in the quiz. You won't be able to take the prize, unfortunately, but you can still participate in the quiz if you would like.
Lina, you'll need to, I think, share your screen.
I am.
You need to change the screen that we're seeing because we're currently still seeing Fatima's screen. So if you unshare and then share again,
okay,
and the people online will then be able to see.
Okay, thank you, Jo, for letting me know. Mm-hmm.
That's it. Now I can see it. Brilliant. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, I'll activate it now. everyone see the slide of screen?
Yep, we can see it.
Okay, so the first round will be about water facts. And the first question is, what's the percentage of accessible fresh water on Earth? So if you look at your phones now, you'll be able to write your names to join the quiz. Peter, Rasha, Paul, Georgina, Laila, Dila, Yoga, Maria. Thank you all for joining. Has anyone online? Would anyone online would like to join? Barbara, Zainab. Oh, Joe. Joe had joined. Okay. So remember the first question was, what's the percentage of fresh water, accessible fresh water on Earth? You have 15 seconds. Is it 70%, 25%, or 1%? And Dr. Fatima has mentioned this in her presentation. So if you were paying attention, and don't forget to press send after you, okay. Has anyone? Were you all able to participate? Okay. Oh, well done. You were paying attention. Okay, the correct answer is 1%. Oh, yoga is on the first place. Well done. Sarah is in the second place, Benjamin third. So like Dr. Fatima has mentioned, nearly 70% of the world is covered by water, but only 2.5% is fresh water. The rest is just seawater, saline and ocean-based. And out of the 2.5%, only 1% is easily accessible because the rest is just trapped in glaciers and snowfields. So imagine it's only 0.007% of planet's water available for 6.8 billion people. So, yeah. The second question is, globally, what is the share of people who don't have access to safe drinking water? And get ready to join if you haven't already. Okay, is it 1 in 10 people? Is it 1 in 4 or 1 in 7? You have 5 seconds, 4, 3, 2. Don't forget to press send. And the correct answer is 1 in 4. Well done, everyone. Oh, Benjamin. Well done. So access to safe drinking water is actually a fundamental human right. In line with this year's theme, equity and local economy, there is actually a lot of inequity when it comes to who have access to water. Globally, 1 in 4 people don't have access to safe drinking water. And while this might seem irrelevant for us living in the UK, while 100% of population has access to clean water right out of the tap, there is over 2 billion people around the world who has no unlimited access to clean water to meet just the basic needs like washing their hands. So it's a privilege and it should be appreciated and preserved because simply others don't have it. So this is the least we can do. So the third question is, the average annual rainfall in southeast of England relative to Australia and South Sudan, which is in Africa, is, get ready, is it higher than both, lower than both, or lower than Australia but higher than South Sudan? 3 seconds. Oh. Oh. Shocking, isn't it? It's actually lower than both. Oh, well done, sir. So one of the most common things I hear in my interviews during interviewing people for my PhD, people in the UK always say, it seems like it's always raining. We live in a very wet country, so what's the problem with water? But the ugly truth is, southeast of England, the average annual rainfall is 500 to 600 millimeters, which is less than South Sudan and Perth in Western Australia. And this happens to be the UK most populated area, including its capital, London, which has more than 18 million people. So this makes it highly vulnerable to water shortages and droughts. And with climate change and drier summers, this could actually increase the risk of droughts and water shortages. So it's not as abundant, the water is not as abundant as it can seem in the UK, after all. So question number 4, relative to other sectors, industrial and agriculture, the percentage of municipal usage of water in the UK is, and municipal water includes the domestic household use or the public like universities and schools, restaurants. Do you think it's higher, lower than industrial only, or higher than both, or lower than both? 5 seconds. Well done. It is higher than both. Oh, there again. Yeah. So unlike most countries worldwide, UK is one of the countries where actually municipal water usage is actually more than industry and agriculture. It accounts for nearly 75% of water withdrawal, followed by just 14 and 12% for industrial and agriculture use respectively. So if you look at this pie chart, this big green part is the municipal water consumption, which includes our consumption as households. And that's why our individual consumption does matter, because it is a big percentage. We have the power, and our behavior change can actually have an impact and make a difference. So round 2 will be more about what can we do as individuals to cut our consumption down. It's more about our personal usage of water. And again, it has a lot of things that Dr. Fatima has mentioned in her presentation. So let's see if you're paying attention. The individual's daily average of water usage in the UK is, get ready, is it less than 20 liters? Is it 30 to 50 liters, or is it more than 100 liters? 5 seconds. Okay. Ooh, well done. Someone is paying attention. It is more than 100 liters. Well done, Sarah. The average person in the UK actually uses approximately 140 liters of water a day. And that's almost the same amount as 430 cans of Coke, which would be like almost my height 3 times, maybe, if we pile up all the Cokes together. And this is just for indoor activities, just showers, brushing teeth. So this is excluding any outdoor activities like watering the garden, for example, or washing the car. And this is high, and higher than neighboring countries with similar weather conditions, like Germany, for example, where they use 120 liters per day. Okay, the second question in this round is, how much water can you save if you cut your shower by only 2 minutes get ready. Is it 2 to 5 liters? Is it 10 liters or 20 liters? It is 20 liters, well done. Oh, Sarah, someone is taking a second. Yes, around 20 liters could actually be saved in just 2 minutes. So if you're taking a daily shower, that's 600 liters per month. That's 7,200 liters per year, just saving 2 simple minutes. And like Dr. Fatima said in her presentation, to help you keep track of your shower, we are actually offering everyone here a shower timer, which will help you keep track of your shower. It's just a small gadget that you can put on the wall. And the same concept of 2 minutes applies when you leave the tap open for brushing your teeth or washing up the dishes. If you turn off the tap for just 2 minutes, this will save around 12 liters of water. And if you do this twice every day, washing the dishes and brushing your teeth, you'll be saving 8,000 liters per year. The third question, on average, how much water is needed to fill up a bath? And again, this was mentioned in Dr. Fatima's presentation. Is it 15 to 25 liters? Is it 30 to 50 or 80 or more? Well done. It is 80 or more liters per ton, everyone. So yeah, approximately 80 liters of water are used to fill up a regular sized bath. So if you have a bigger bath, take bigger, more liters. So if you switch to daily showers rather than daily bath, this could save more than 2,000 liters per month and around 27,000 liters per year. On average, how many liters are used per cycle in a washing machine? 10 or less, 20 to 40 or more than 50. Well done, everyone. It is actually approximately 50 liters per cycle are used in a washing machine. So we should only try to wash when it's a full load, and as much as possible use the eco setting on the washing machine, or the same applies for the dishwasher. It saves electricity and it saves water as well. Okay, the final round is the water footprint. So what is a water footprint? Just a quick explanation for the concept before we start the questions. So a water footprint actually includes both our direct water usage and the indirect, embedded and virtual water. Direct water usage is the indoor and outdoor personal water usage. We actually can see or hear the water running, like in a shower or in a washing machine where you can hear the water running. But indirect or embedded or virtual water, the water is hidden in the process of producing everything we use: food, clothes, paper, and even fuel and plastics. And a fun fact about plastic here is manufacturing a plastic bottle consumes the amount of water, 3 times the amount of water it could actually hold. So if you buy a 1 liter plastic bottle, this has actually wasted 3 liters to produce. So by just using reusable water bottles or reducing your plastic consumption in general, you will be reducing waste reducing carbon as well as reducing water footprint. So this is just an example to see how water footprints work. Are you ready for the first question in this round? Only 3 questions to go before we announce the winners. Okay, how much water is used to produce 1 kilogram of beef meat? And this was also mentioned in the presentation, you recall? Is it 50 to 100 liters, 700 to 1,400, or more than 10,000 liters? Well done. It's actually more than 10,000 liters. This is like the one Dr. Fatima has shared. Actually, meat, all kinds of meat, are one of the most thirsty food, like they say here. There's a lot of water hidden in the production, unlike other things like vegetables and fruits, where it consumes less water in production. So what we can do is consume more of the things down on the diagram and less of the things on the top. So by just making simple changes to our diet, we could save a lot of virtual water. Try the meat-free Monday, for example. Increase your fruits and vegetables intake. And also reduce your food waste, because by wasting food, we are wasting also all the water that was used in production. So yeah, we don't want to do this. And we'll be increasing methane emissions when we waste food. So by just reducing food waste, you will be working on the carbon emissions and water footprint. Okay, the second question, how much water is used to produce the amount of fuel needed for a 1 mile car drive? And a 1 mile is approximately 1.6 kilometers, and it's around the same distance between campus east and west, just to help you visualize. So to produce the amount of fuel needed, do we need less than a liter, 8.5 liters, or 3.5 liters of water? It's actually just 3 points. I knew you're it's just 3.5, but still. So refining the amount of fuel needed to power 1 mile or 1.6 kilometer drive is approximately 3.5 liters. So if we just cycle and walk, we'll be reducing carbon emissions and saving water in the same time. Similarly, the same concept applies to energy production, because a lot of energy plants are still using fossil fuels in operations. So whenever we turn off the lights or turn down the heating, we'll be saving electricity and saving, of course, carbon emissions and a lot of virtual water that is used in production as well. Okay, the third question, and I guess this is the final question. How much water is used to produce the amount of cotton used? Anyway, to manufacture a regular t-shirt? Okay. Do you think it's less than 600 liters, or 1,500, or more than 2,000 liters? Well done. It is actually more than 2,000 liters. So growing 1 kilogram of cotton consumes 10,000 liters of water. So a t-shirt around 250 grams takes around 2,500 liters, a pair of jeans, 8,000 liters. So what can we do is we should buy less new clothes and try to buy vintage if we can. But this way, we won't be contributing fast fashion, we'll be reducing our carbon and water footprint. And if you want to know more about water footprint, there's this website called waterfootprint.org. So it's really interesting, and you can go through different types of products and see that the water used in each. There's a list of further resources that you can have a look at if you want to know more about saving tips or just general facts about water. And this presentation, as well as Dr. Fatima's talk, will be available on the University of York Sustainability YouTube channel, or if you'd like to access this later. So in the end, before we announce the quiz winners, just remember that every little helps. So just start with small changes that you are comfortable with and that you can actually maintain. And it's a win-win. It feels good to save water. This is one of the most common things I hear in the interviews. People just feel better when they save water. You'll be paying less bills if you have a water meter. You'll be saving the environment and future generations. And also, like Dr. Fatima also mentioned, be social, spread the word, talk about what you learned today to family, friends, classmates. And again, here's the pledge. If you would like to sign up, this is the QR code that you can use. And just remember to use your York account for this. They will be sending you very interesting challenges that you can just Is it working? Yeah? Okay. And again, this is the Waterwise conference. Here are the sessions. If you'd like to take a picture of the sessions just to decide in advance which one you'll be attending, feel free to do so. Quiz winners. Just one final question has to work this way. Okay. Are you ready for the quiz winner to be announced? Yes, we're absolutely. Oh, well done. In third place, we have got Sarah. She got 10 out of 12. Well done. Second place, Benjamin. Third place, Peter. Well done. Yoga on the fourth place, and Mariana on the fifth place. Well done, everyone. Thank you all for joining, and I hope you had a good time and learned something interesting and new. Thank you all so much, and remember to take each of you as one of these. A shower timer and a badge. Just put this around. Just take, and feel free to take more than one shower timer if you want. Just give family, friends, flatmates. Sarah, would you like to choose which one?
I'll let you choose for me. I prefer a green one, please.
Big green or medium?
I like the big green.
And
Thank you. I will not water it very much cold.
and there's actually, see, there's a note here.
Oh.
And there was a little snail who took a bite of the note, so I kept it. Okay.
Oh, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Hope you like it. And Benjamin, would you like a green one?
Green, yeah.
A green one? You sure? Well done. Oh, thank you. No. Yeah. Okay, I'll turn off the recording. Online. Is anyone online still?
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. It was so much, it was nice and I've learned a lot from it as well. So the statistics are excellent. It's like if you just knew the statistics, you would feel like you need to save the planet in some way, right? So it was so, thank you for the presentation.
Thank you, Zainab. And I'll save you some of the giveaways until we meet.
Oh yeah, that will be so nice from you. I was like, oh, I'm not having giveaways. I'm just attending online. And then...
No, I'll save you some. Thank you for attending. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for the presentation.
And I'll close the recording now. Bye-bye.
Bye.